Hello and welcome to Dave's Delights. And as always, I'm Dave and I'm delighted to be here with you today. Now today, my wife told me she wanted me to make her fried rice. I said, hey, I kind of want to use the wok and let's do some stir fry. And she goes, no. I like your fried rice. I want you to make that. And of course, why not? That sounds great. Now, before Uncle Roger comes and roasts me on the internet, this is not like traditional fried rice. It's mostly, but there's a couple of things that I've noticed over the years while watching other people prepare it that I've added into it. And then I take a couple things out because there's my wife doesn't like carrots, for example. So this is a pretty good fried rice, but if you want it truly traditional, just go to a Chinese restaurant or a Japanese restaurant and they'll take care of you. In the meantime, here's me. You need a wok. And if you don't have a wok, you can use a nice cast iron pan, something that's deep enough to handle moving around the all the food you're going to put in there. This is going to be chicken fried rice. So I have a half pound of chicken thigh meat, boneless, skinless, that I've chopped into, or really diced into tiny little cubes. We got a teaspoon of salt that's divided in a couple of places. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take that half of that salt, and that's going to go in with the chicken, and that's going to I'm going to stir that around before I end up using it. 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil divided, so it's 3 individual tablespoons. Now you don't have to use vegetable oil; you can use canola oil or any high heat kind of oil. Don't use avocado oil. Don't use olive oil, and sesame oil we're going to use in this, but it's for the finish. You don't want to use it during the cooking part because it smokes. We have 2 eggs, whisked, and I'm using my eggs from my chickens, but certainly the store sells them if you don't have your own hens. I've got a half a cup of onion. This happens to be a yellow onion that I've diced. I have 2 teaspoons plus a little bit extra because I just end up taking a little bit too much. And once you cut it off, it's kind of hard to put back the ginger. But this is minced ginger, which was fresh from the root, and I also peeled the ginger before I minced it up. I have a 1/3 cup of, in this case, frozen peas, but peas, and 2 cups of cooked rice. So you pre-prepare some rice, or it's leftover rice is also a possibility. In this case, I have 2 cups of it. 2 green onions that I've chopped, scallions, whatever you want to call them. The darker green parts I've got separate because those are going to be kind of like a garnish at the end, but the white parts and the light green parts are all chopped up here. I have 1 teaspoon of, or really like a full 1.5 cloves of garlic, so call it about a teaspoon, minced. 2.5 tablespoons of soy sauce. Pick your brand, whatever you like, whichever is your favorite. And I have 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. Now to the optional stuff that my wife likes, I'm going to add some diced zucchini. It's not very traditional, but every time I try to put other things in, she goes, no, I want you to put the zucchini in there. It comes from going to hibachi restaurants where that was usually a lot of the times part of the vegetable dish, and it would get mixed in with the fried rice, and she just likes it that way. And then same thing with adding broccoli, because my wife doesn't like carrots, so instead I'm putting other things in, so it's not just rice and some chicken and scrambled egg. Now, I took this broccoli crown and I broke it down to where they're tiny, tiny little crowns. So that way it's not just one big chunk in there. I want this to kind of blend in with the rice. And then finally, this I learned, well, my wife and I saw somebody doing one day at a hibachi restaurant. The chef was preparing the rice, and he added this as the final ingredient. And the flavor change it makes it delicious. So it's something that anytime that I make rice for her, she wants me to add this, which is yum yum sauce. And if you ever go to a hibachi restaurant, they're going to have like 2 types of sauces. One is a ginger-based sauce, and this one is kind of like a spicy mayonnaise of sorts. But it's a very specific flavor, and it is completely optional. It's going to go on right at the end. That if you want to use it, you can. If not, it'll be wonderful without it as well. So this is all going to be done with my wok on high heat over the cooktop. So we're going to switch over to there, and we'll get started. All right, for starters, anytime you're cooking on a wok, it's high heat, and woks are different than your typical pot. just in, if nothing else, in the way that they're they're high carbon steel. You really got to oil them. The oil's got to, you got to really make sure the oil gets all over them. And I've never done the scrambled egg part in the wok because this is brand new to me. I've always had just a regular pot or pan that I was using instead of a wok. So this could be interesting this morning, or today, should I say. So I'm going to put in 1 of the tablespoons of, in this case, vegetable oil, but canola oil, peanut oil, whatever you like. And we're going to swirl that around, and you can see how it reacts a little differently than your typical pan, that oil being there. And that's going to get real hot real quick. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to, using our wok tools, we're going to slide in the egg and start scrambling it. It's going to go really quick. And we're supposed to just keep it moving. And you want to keep it breaking up so the curds don't turn to one solid one. And this is also kind of loud in its own way, but that's okay. I feel like Yan can't cook right now. And by the way, shout out to Martin Yan. The guy's a legend, and I certainly was watching him when I was a kid. And just that quick, that is now ready to come off. And if you don't have the wok tools that come with your wok, if you get one, buy them, because it makes everything so much easier. All right, and this thing is back to screeching hot again. So we're going to add the 2nd tablespoon of oil. And on is going to go our chicken. And we got to keep this moving around. I'm going to get my vent hood on high here. And we're going to cook this until it's cooked all the way through and browned, and then we're going to take it off. So I'm going to put this on, I'm going to go ahead and cut here, and we'll come back as I'm taking this off the fire. So this is just about ready to take back off. And as you can see, this wok does a really good job. This was like less than 2 minutes. We're going at really high heats. Nothing is sticking because the wok has been seasoned properly, and we've got enough oil in, and we got the oil nice and hot. So this is now just about cooked through. Probably another 10-15 seconds, because it's going to get a final cook in the rice as well. But you don't want to make sure no one wants medium rare chicken. All right, that's ready. All right, so now we're going to put in the last tablespoon of oil. And there's a little bit of chicken fat down the bottom too. And we're going to put in the zucchini and the onion. Get those moving around. And just adjust your flame as you need to keep it at a higher temperature. And the ginger. And the peas. Now that those, you can see the onion is starting to glisten a little bit, so it's time to put in the broccoli, or if you're putting in carrot, you would put that in at the same time. And the green onion. And finally the garlic. And I'm putting the rest of the salt. And let's stir this all together. And this is really high heat. You just want to keep this moving until the vegetables soften up. My guess is it's going to take about 4 to 5 minutes, but we'll play it by ear. I'm going to go ahead and cut away, and we'll be back when we're ready to add the next item. All right, it's been like 4 minutes, and everything is softening up nicely, looking pretty good, and nothing is burned because I kept it moving. So I'm going to return the chicken and the egg. I'm going to get that all back to cooking a little bit more. And that is looking pretty good. I'm going to let this cook through just for another 2 minutes, and then I'm going to add the rice. So it's not super exciting watching this just cook. So we're going to put it on hold, and I will be back to you. All right, everything is looking perfect. It is time to add the rice. Like I said, that was about 2 minutes. And now, in goes the rice. This is previously cooked and cooled, so it's going to be kind of hard, so you got to break it up, and you start moving it around with everything. So flip it in. If you've ever seen this at the hibachi place, they'll sit there and they'll break it up real hard with their spatula. But the trick in a wok, instead of on a big flat plate, is to not throw it all over the place. Now I'm going to add the 2.5 tablespoons of soy sauce. You have to add a little bit more because there's a little bit of splish splash there. And then I'm also going to add a teaspoon of sesame oil. And you just keep turning it over so it all comes together. If it doesn't look like you got enough soy sauce, just add a little bit more. In this case, I probably dropped a 1/4 teaspoon on the side of the counter because it just slipped out of my hand there as I was putting it in. You know, we're really cooking here. These things happen. No big deal. I have more soy sauce. I can add more anytime I want to. But as you see, this is starting to come together. We just want to give it a chance to get hot and start frying a little bit. Make sure your temperature's high. And this actually looks pretty darn nice, doesn't it? I'm going to get a little bit more soy sauce because I think it needs just a touch more. All right, so at this point, if you didn't want to add the yum yum, this is done. But I know for a fact that my wife is going to want this. So I'm going to put in, let's call it 2 tablespoons or 3 tablespoons worth. It's going to be about that much. And then I got to stir this all together so that it incorporates throughout. And I'm going to kill the heat now because this is ready to go. And now we are ready to go to plating. So I'll see you back at the main workstation. Now, as far as plating goes, you know, fried rice can be a main or it can be a side dish. So if you want it to be the side dish, just put whatever your main course is with it. Any kind of stir fry would be wonderful with this. Just remember, you might have to make this first unless you happen to have multiple woks. So I'm going to take a decent portion of this, and it's full of chicken, and get that into this bowl. And I'm going to dress it with some of the green tops of the green onion. And I have sesame seeds, which are two colors. I've got black and white, so it's kind of like a tuxedo look. And I'll shake some of those on top. And then we'll give it a little drizzle of the yum yum, because this is for my wife. Don't need to do that all the time. If you don't like it, don't use it. But I'll be scolded if I don't put this in with my wife's dinner. So you have some very nice fried rice. The pictures will be at the end, and obviously on the thumbnail as well. Make this at home. This is something you can do. This didn't take very long. There was hardly any cut time in between. You definitely want to try this. It's good, and you can buy it at a store. But why buy something at the store when you can make it yourself? That's kind of the whole premise of this show. Anyway, if you haven't already, like and subscribe and tell your friends. Try these things at home. Give me comments. Give me suggestions. As you can see, I definitely take your suggestions and we'll make dishes out of it. So I hope to see you again soon. And until then, have a wonderful day.